Okay.
Okay. So, what are we doing?
Well, I'm going to introduce you and everything, so tell me when you're ready to go.
I'm ready.
Okay. You just. Okay, well, is that how you want to be introduced?
I thought, how serious? I thought it was casual.
It is casual.
Okay.
I just figured you wanted to be. Okay, and you're going to need to maybe sit up and forward a little bit so that it doesn't look like I'm like leaning in like an a-hole. It's all about me. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I am joined by my husband, Jesse, and we're going to be introducing a new series called Nerd vs. Novice, which is going to be me, in this case, being the nerd and Jesse being the novice, and our overview thoughts on the Rings of Power, the first episode. So I am a huge Lord of the Rings fan and a big Tolkien nerd, and Jesse is a casual fan, but you have seen all the Peter Jackson films, and you like them.
Yes.
But you haven't read the books. You've read The Hobbit.
I've read The Hobbit.
I think I read The Hobbit with you.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we've read The Hobbit together. I've read The Lord of the Rings. I always get bogged down in Two Towers. Like I get like halfway through Two Towers.
Okay. And if you are interested in crafting at all, Jesse has his own channel, JC Craft Mage. We'll put it there. And you can look up how to paint and craft miniatures. I've read all the books. I'm just going to say like why I'm qualified to be the nerd. I'm qualified, okay. I read and finished the series when I was 13. I'm super huge fan of the Peter Jackson films. I have a review of the first two Hobbit films, and somewhere there's footage of, I think it was like over an hour long, of me doing the third Hobbit film. But yeah, that never saw the light of day, so who knows where that ended up. But anyway, we're going to be discussing the first episode of The Rings of Power, and I will let Jesse start. We're going to go over just our overall thoughts and our like 5-star. No, we'll do 1 out of 10 rating. Okay. So you go first.
So we're talking about just because we haven't the whole thing's not out, so we're just talking about the first episode, yeah.
Yeah, talk to the camera, not to me.
Well,
I just
no, okay. So for the first episode, I would. So what, out of 10?
Yeah, out of 10.
I would give it like a really solid 6, almost a 7.
Okay.
Because wait, hold still.
Perfect.
It was one of those things like they almost got most of the things right. So that means like everything was adequate-ish.
Sure.
I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I have a rant. Well, it wasn't even a rant because here's the thing. I don't have the energy for this series to rant about it. I don't have any like huge connection to the characters to feel like, oh, they ruined
You're
this.
2 episodes in.
Hush you. I've actually only gotten through the first episode and a half. And I have to keep stopping because I get too angry. I'm the nerd. Let me nerd rant. So
I like how you keep looking at them like they're going to justify.
I'm looking at them because that's who I want to talk to. No, you've already heard this. So for me, I would give this a really solid 3.5, maybe a 4. And,
okay.
And that's my generous rating because I was really bored and I didn't feel any connection to these characters. In particular, I think she's going to be the main character, Galadriel. I didn't like her, and I think that's going to be a huge problem going forward, is her total unlikability. But what did you think of Galadriel?
I actually, okay, and this is going to segue into other stuff, I'm sure.
Oh, won't it?
I actually would give Galadriel...
Oh, look at all that lipstick on my cup.
Don't
make me laugh.
I would...
Rachel tries to like strategically clean off her teeth over here.
Yeah, she's over here like
where's the toothbrush?
No. I would give her like a solid 7. Okay, here's the thing. As a female character, I thought she was great. As a Galadriel, I thought she was okay. Because here's the thing.
Do tell.
Here's the thing. In context, okay, this show is supposedly taking place millions of years before Lord of the Rings. You know, something like that.
Sure. Yeah. The second age as opposed to the third age.
10,000,
yes,
between 10,000 and 100 million years, because elves are everlasting immortal.
Ageless.
Yes, ageless. Okay. So it's like so assuming in Lord of the Rings, because elves are different everywhere, you know, like, are they just immortal until they're not?
My understanding is that elves, like, unless they're killed, don't die, but there's a
like they don't die of
it's
natural
implied
causes.
that at some point they will fade, especially as magic fades, their life would fade. Like Arwen, because she marries Aragorn, she does die.
She soils her elvish.
Okay, that's not how I would put it. But
I'm calling it how I see it.
No, but if they don't go back to like their homeland, like, so when
they gotta go back to their charging station.
Yeah, sure. I don't. Okay.
Their elvish charging station.
I feel like we're getting a little off the rails here.
Did the king of the elves ask them to throttle their adventuring and wait till the morning hours to go adventuring? You're just
embarrassing me. Sit back, I've got this.
Excuse me.
Yeah, drink your coffee. No, okay. So I feel like we could get off the rails of Galadriel because no, that's what took up so much time in my video, and I'm not even gonna play that.
No, well, so what does it matter?
It might matter.
No, okay, because here's the thing. It's that if it takes place so far in the past, like, even 500-year-old elves are still very juvenile, right? In the grand scheme of their lifetime. However, if a human can achieve reasonable maturity by the age of 20 or 30, and elves should be able to do that in the same amount of time. So elves should only be even more wiser, more mature. This is where Galadriel's problems start, because she's a grown woman, you know, and she's like this, like, Avengers, like, Mary Sue in the first 5 minutes. Like, it was one of those, like...
So did you like her or not? Because I'm getting the mixed signals.
No, yeah, here's the thing.
Do tell.
Like, I thought she was cool, but they tried too hard with it. Okay.
I can see that.
You know what I mean? Because it's like, in the beginning, like, she's leading this crew.
Yeah.
They're going up.
Of all men.
Of course, of all men, because...
Yep.
Because Drow. But...
because she's the only one who can kill that ice troll in a single blow.
That too. And I have thoughts about that. But it's one of those, like... You know, she knows just what to say, all the things, like... It's like she's too perfect. She's a Mary Sue. She's too perfect in, like, that whole, like, first 20 minutes.
Sure.
But the concept of her character and how she behaves, I think, is really good.
Okay. I disagree, but only because I could see there's no, in Tolkien's, like, established lore, there's no concept of the elves being less mature. Like, it takes them longer because there is some, like, you know, I feel like some fantasy stuff where, because they're so long lived, like, oh, they don't mature until, like, way later because they have such longer lifespan. You know, like, I could see that being a thing where she might not have, like, come into her full maturity. But
that's the thing. Is it like dog years? Is it like 100 elf years is like a 10-year-old to a human? Like,
no. And that's why I think it was dumb. And also, it's not even that I felt that she was immature necessarily. I felt that she was just not likable, and they could have made her really, like, the whole scene where she's interacting with Elrond, I feel like, why is she being so rude to him? Like, he seemed really excited to see her, and she's just like, you gonna get me that audience with the king? And I was like, ooh, okay, asking for the manager over here. Like, it is not
Karen.
It's not cute. And I didn't think that she, like, I'm a woman. And I just didn't connect with her, and I didn't feel like she was likable or like somebody I was gonna root for, whereas I really like the Cate Blanchett character. But also, I will say that the strength of elves in, like, the Peter Jackson films is, like, the rarity of elves. And because it's, like, the third age, they're obviously, like, dying out and they're going out back to their homeland. So you got, like, the best of the best scenes of elves because you don't have so many like, they're not everywhere.
Right.
Yeah, so you can have, like, the really cool, like, oh, Legolas is distinct from Arwen and Galadriel and Elrond, and they're all, like, their own, like, cool characters. But there also isn't a whole, like, elven homeland right there.
Right.
Where you can just be like, oh, look, there's all these elves.
There's a bunch of elves. Okay.
So
wait. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No.
No,
it's not my channel or anything.
No, okay, it's because it's one of those, like, I think the concept is really cool because, like, in the movies, in the books, like, Galadriel is, like, super powerful, she's awesome, like, whatever. And so it's like, this gives us a platform to see where she came from. And, like, it's like Chuck Norris. Like, you got to be able to back it up. You know what I mean? And it's like, there's nothing that we know of canonically, not much anyway, of Galadriel before the books. That's like, oh yeah, like, don't screw with Galadriel because she'll wreck your day. You know? And so it's like, even though it's Mary Sue, even though she's
they
like,
they know.
Even though she's like a Mary Sue, like, it's cool to see, like, the tough warrior side of it, you know, because it's like, and again, it's like, I'm coming from like a video game Dungeons and Dragons mindset.
We'll get there.
Where it's like the like lore and statistics on health and age and all that, and they're all different depending on.
Listen, this isn't Dungeons and Dragons.
No, I know, but all that to say, I actually thought the actress and the actor that they had for Elrond and for what?
Oh no! Go ahead.
I thought
say what you're going to.
I thought he was actually pretty good. Because he reminded me of Elrond, like from the movies. In that what?
I feel like it did remind me of Elrond. It would be like saying like Pippin rubbed up against me and got some of his dog fur on me, and now I remind you of Pippin. Our dog Pippin. They know about Pippin. I introduced him in my last video with a picture and everything.
I'm sorry.
No. But I'm just saying, like, if Pippin's dog essence, like, was rubbed on me, then you're like, Rachel, you remind me of Pippin today. That would be like, that's how I associate that character with the Elrond that we know. Yes, he might have like the barest essence of Elrond on him, but he is not
right.
Elrond.
Okay, so you're right, but given that this is Elrond 10 million years prior,
but they could say that with anything. That's what I'm saying. It works in only that they can keep saying like, well, this is thousands of years before, so you don't really know that character. But there are things we do know, and even like in the Second Age, Galadriel was already married, and
she gets married.
We're getting off the rails here. So my next question would be, and obviously we've been talking kind of some spoilers, but we're not going to get into like every detail of this show because nobody has that kind of time. What did you think?
I think you'd be surprised.
We don't, because we have kids. So what was the best scene in your opinion and the worst scene for you? Like, is there, because I've heard a lot of people talking about like, I feel like the online forums that I'm a part of tend to be of this mind that like, well, they spent a lot of money on it, and you should just be happy you got some token content.
In a couple of the cases it shows.
But yes. So what is there like a particular scene where you're like, oh, I can tell that like that's where that millions and millions of dollars went?
Well, no. Because when they get to town or whatever,
we'll be bleeping that. Not on my channel, friend.
Sorry, no.
The men, where the men live.
When they get to like the men village,
where only the healer gets to bathe. The lady.
Yeah. I could tell that like the sets were like
expensive.
Facades. Like I could.
Oh yeah.
It's like you could tell. You could barely tell, but you could tell.
Yeah, you could tell.
What I will say is the one that stuck, and it's not good or bad, but I'll tell you the one thing that stood out to me.
Sure. Was
when they were going to go see Aslan at the end on the boat, because that's what that reminds me of. No, I know. I could tell.
Good.
No, but that's okay.
But they don't know. So when Galadriel and her fellow soldiers are going back to the homeland, yes.
It's like Reepicheep going to heaven. Like that's what I couldn't even tell if that's what it was like metaphorically trying to do.
Well, they were
riding a boat into the sun.
And you're all gonna die.
Well, yeah,
like kids will be dead too.
Yeah. Well, so I'm like,
did you feel like the armor at that point looked particularly shoddy?
Yes.
Because I I am not like an armor costume expert, but I was like, what in the actual heck is that armor? Because and it was so cheap looking.
So yeah, I'm just gonna. That's probably the only scene I'm gonna break down really quick. There's like a dozen of these soldiers standing on this boat, heading back to the homeland.
Yeah, it was really.
They are they're on a small boat. They are in full plate armor. Okay, they are rocks ready to sink.
Then they start undressing, and they take their swords.
Well, okay, so there's that. Like,
cheap looking.
It's very ceremonious. I get it, but it's also like they're standing there with their swords pointing down, standing in front of them, and they're all just standing around like on this rocking boat. And it's like, how far is homeland? Like across a river? Because doing that for like weeks going to the next continent is like how long have they just been standing there? Like, or is it like, they're all swearing and eating oranges so they don't die of scurvy, and then like, oh, we're almost there. Like, there's the big billowing clouds to heaven. Like, and then they put on their armor and they stand there for 15, 20 minutes. And then like,
yeah, it was a poorly done scene.
So that was the bad part of that scene. The good part of that scene is when they're almost to heaven and the orc-faced elf that quit on her in the beginning when he she's having second thoughts because she's doesn't want to go back to the homeland, because if she goes back to the homeland,
okay, we'll get to the good part, because I was dying to hear what you think was actually good about that scene.
The fact that like he turns to her, and after leaving her in the beginning, basically giving up on her and her mission, he's like, here, take my hand, we're going, and she reaches out to take his hand. And to me, that was actually kind of a cool, powerful thing, because for the elves, like even in conflict, even in disagreements, like in their expanded age, they're mature enough to like be able to reconcile their differences in a sense. Like when you work with somebody long enough, is it just me?
See, but that's why I'm saying Galadriel, like what you're saying makes sense. And I don't agree, but that's not the point. What you're saying makes perfect sense, but then it's like Galadriel's like the manager that you don't like. Everybody talks about behind their back, and nobody really likes. But like, okay, when stuff hits the fan, like, okay, well, we're still all in this together. We're still elves. Like, I get where you're coming from with that scene. To me, for me, best and worst, I will say I don't know that I have a best scene, because I don't know. I think the like opening, like the scene where there was like a battle scene at the very beginning where her brother dies, and you don't really see anything, but you should have watched it. And it's really quick, but there's like some cool battle-y stuff happening, and so that to me, I kind of did. It was, I think, the most connected to Peter Jackson's film, and like the opening battle. Also with the opening battle of Sauron, where you're kind of like, I was like, okay, well, I could see where they're kind of like trying to pull me in, and I was almost there, and then I was like, oh no, no. After that, if they could have kept up like that level of energy, that like commitment to the like source material, and having kind of that like Peter Jackson-y style, then I think it would have been better. But obviously, for whatever reason, they didn't involve him in this project, and it shows. And the short hair elves, scenes aside, no, that is the worst thing. And the fact that you didn't just get some good wigs on them elves and make them hot, your mistake, Amazon. Your mistake.
And she's already ranted to me about this. And your thing about how the elves are just pointy-eared humans. Like, the elves in this look like what I would determine to be half-elves, right?
Yes.
Because when I think of elves, your ears should be dorsal fins. Like, and
not just that, but they're not distinct enough as a race, I didn't feel like, to be like, oh, well, yeah, oh, that's an obvious elf. So when the elves go to the human town, like, didn't you just feel like it was like humans and humans? Because I did, except for the very obvious, like, full-on prosthetic, which I think is hideous.
Yeah. You can get those on Amazon, by the way. I almost got some a while back.
Presents I've never received.
They have these, you can get these prosthetic ears that are actually headphones. Link in the doobly-doo.
Finally, I would like you to tell me your favorite character from the first episode. I'll tell you mine, and then our least favorite characters.
I liked Galadriel, and here's the thing: her and I guess even Elrond to an extent, because this goes back to like the elves looking like humans. Is that in the trilogy, like Lord of the Rings trilogy, the movies?
Yeah.
Like all the elves had very sharp and distinguished features. Like they looked elvy.
Yeah, elvy.
Elvy.
Something elvy about you.
Right. Like to me, I imagine the scene of like Arwen like riding down on horseback, and it's like her face is just like a blade just charging at you. Like
Arwen?
What did I say?
I don't know, some combination of Eowyn and Arwen, and I wasn't
Arwen.
sure what you're talking about. Yeah. Arwen, and when she's the Nazgul are chasing her.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. But I think too that's like Peter Jackson's elves. Like I said, were so distinct that you never had to be like, who's the human, who's the elves, it's. And I will say,
if you have to give your elves like context to make them distinguished from other humans.
Well, and also the huge ear prosthetics and the short hair, which I think is so gross because it just emphasizes the like gigantic ears that make no sense. It's not like they have like the elves have like better hearing, but it was never implied that like it's the shape of their ears that make them better at hearing. They're just elves. They're just better at everything. Get over it, okay? And I was all about hot elf summer.
Wait,
but we didn't get it.
So wait, back it up. What was your favorite scene, least favorite scene?
No, I said my least favorite scenes. I said I didn't have any favorite scenes.
Oh, well, you got to pick one. What was like?
Oh, I said the opening battle, which I felt like brought it back. My least favorite scene. Oh, wait, yeah, my least favorite scene: the goo coming out of the cow udder.
The cow mud.
Yeah, it was like, wait a minute.
See, that scene probably would have thrown me off more if I wasn't ready for it.
Because I told you.
Because you told me about it.
Yeah.
So I knew something was coming up with a cow.
But I just don't get where's the precedent for like Sauron and evilness making like disease and goo come out of cows.
Even then, it's like it was a subtle. It was
not subtle.
No. It was a subtle information dump of like there's corruption that is spreading almost like from the ground up. It's like it's not so obvious. You know what I mean? Like something's wrong here.
I would have preferred. Okay, it wasn't quite Luke milking the alien cow bad for its green milk. It wasn't quite like that level of absolute disgust and horror. But I had to be like.
So at least it wasn't grunting afterwards.
That was just straight up sexual assault. I was wrong on every level, and you know it, Disney. No, okay. So it wasn't quite like there, but to me, I just, I'm looking at it, I'm thinking, don't do it. Don't do that. Why? No. So
how many times do you think they had to do that scene?
I hope only once. He's like, seriously, guys, the stuff is gross.
There's a poor stagehand that had to like be out there with like a rag, like cleaning this cow's udder like 17 times in a row.
Okay, so who's your least favorite character?
Least favorite character.
Mm-hmm. Least.
I'm actually gonna say the orc-faced elf.
The one that was
in the beginning was like, we're a bunch of schmucks,
and we're all gonna put our swords down.
Yeah, it's like
by Galadriel. Which, by the way, if she had any kind of like legit power or like she's supposed to be in command of these troops, right? So no, I just don't feel like that would be something. I feel like they made them do that because like she's a woman, and they're not like, and you wouldn't just go to like your commanding officer and be like, "We're done now." But they feel like they can get away with it because she's a woman.
See, that's how I feel like at work. Is like I can't fire anybody because we still technically need them. But
this is not about your job, Jesse.
And I don't have a bunch of people up in reserve like the elves do back in the homeland. I don't have a homeland I can call upon.
Sure. Well,
to get more employees.
If you're looking for a job in Kentucky. Just kidding. All right. So that guy was your least favorite. Okay, so my favorite character, and maybe a controversial choice, but I'm going to go with the healer girl in the town because nothing she did was particularly outstanding, but in no way did she offend me. She was obviously, like she has the one bath in town, so good on her. And I feel like the only reason she didn't come in with like her face all crusty with mud like everybody else is because she has a love interest. And they're like, well, that's going to be awkward later for kiss scenes. So, it's true. So I liked her fine. I felt like also even her like style of dress, her hairstyle. I felt like they were trying harder with her to make her look.
She was pretty.
Well, it's not even just like her being a pretty girl. I felt like she was more like they had as a style, you know, in mind.
Right.
I could see her being
Belle
like
from
she,
Beauty and the Beast.
yeah, like, and she fit.
That's literally who I thought it was at first.
What are you doing here?
What kind of weird crossover is this?
Yeah, no, I didn't quite think that, but I did think she made sense. Like, oh, you're a healer in this town, and
she'd probably be clean.
Yes, you know, germs, and so I like her. I feel like there's also places you could go with her character where she could be good, and I didn't mind her inclusion because you can also with like the add-on characters, a lot of them I could be like, why on earth would you put that person in? But at least the inclusion of a healer in a town of men makes sense. You would have that in any, you know, D&D, fantasy, whatever land.
Sure.
My least favorite character, as far as likable stuff, you know who it is. You know I don't like Galadriel. She does nothing for me. And when she jumps off the boat at the end, I was like, well, I know you don't drown, and that's a pity. So
wow.
No. But yes. She's what are you thinking? You know that they're like far away. What on earth is she doing?
But that's just it. Like they can't be that far away.
They are far away.
They're all standing on the boat.
No, that was so bad about. I think the execution of that is that like they like just are like go on like a little map thing, and they're like, hey, we're not going to give you any concept of like geography or like how far away things are, but like doot on a little map. That's how far. It doesn't make any sense. Like these places are not all right next to each other. Like traveling is a thing. It's a real thing. Just not in Amazon's Lord of the Rings. And if you watch the next episodes, and if anybody has any desire to see us continue to discuss this show, tell us in the comments. Also, let us know if there's another Nerd versus Novice fandom you'd like us to discuss. Because we were talking about doing Twilight because he has never seen. You've never seen the movies, right? You've definitely never read the books. I have read the books, seen the movies, etc. I used to be. I'm a reformed Twihard. Yeah, that's pretty bad. But yeah, we could do Narnia. We could do, you like Mech Warriors, you do D&D. Like we could do any of those types of fandoms. But let us know in the comments if you want to do that. And also if you want us to continue talking about Rings of Power. This was mainly to kind of do a lighthearted review rather than a rant because I just don't have that like energy right now. And also to introduce my husband and a new series. And you're not looking at the camera, you're looking at me. Oh, okay. So anyway, if you want to see more of this, let us know. And also let us know if there's a fandom you want us to discuss in the future.
I was thinking about starting a Patreon and then people can vote for stuff.
Which probably won't happen for a while, so just tell us in the comments. Please like and subscribe. And that's how I felt when I did my video, and then I just couldn't.
Okay. The middle-aged Elf King.
Gilgalad?
He seems like borderline like overweight. I'm like, you look pudgy for an elf, my boy.